we'll see just how much Team Dog, how much Ice can do in the darks here to really make it annoying here for the Drought to farm. Fnatic do get that Tide Hunter, and, well, when you have Masteros, you take the Tide. Not much more needs to be said about that. He's got the dad bod. He isn't scared to rock it, and he loves his Tide Hunter. It's a fun hero for him to play.
It definitely is, John. And if there's a hero that you think of when you think of Masteros, it really is that Tide. There's no other hero that kind of comes to mind straight off the bat when you think of Masteros. But the Tide Hunter, absolutely. And I dare say any game he's allowed to have it, he will take it. Whether it's good or bad or indifferent, he's just going to take it every single time. Meanwhile, Team Dog, they do go for the Slark pickup, so it is kind of a nice way to lane up against the Tide. So you do have now this position 1 that likes to hit these melee cores, and of course Tide isn't one of those heroes that can really secure creeps from a distance. It does need to get up close. But I do feel like that matchup does go one way or the other. Because as the Slark, you do dominate very early on. Especially at level 1 and 2, you do tend to dominate with those Essence Shift stacks. But as time goes on, it does start to feel like the Tide can fight back with those extra points in Kraken Shell, as well as, of course, the Anchor Smash. And you get to a point where you start to feel like you're not really doing enough damage as the Slark to this tanky Tide Hunter.
Yeah, it's very sensitive in the EXP spikes, as you mentioned. I'm curious to see what Team Dog lanes up against. That's something we didn't really point out. They started with Lesh and the ET. We're assuming one of them support. They've still got one pick left. It could be Lesh and ET supports Darkseer off and pocketing that Abbott last pick here,
Right.
which could be it. But Lesh rack support wouldn't ET just sounds really greedy. So I'm not sure what you want here for the Slark lane. You've also got to be aware, not only is the Tide better in levels, as you mentioned, but it also potentially has the Venge as a laning partner with the Wave of Terror along with the Gush minus armor. You could melt if you're not careful. So you have to watch yourself with these melee heroes. Once Tide's level 3, as you mentioned, the spikes come in, the minus armor builds up. You're probably not winning those trades.
Right. Well, final banouts are out. They get rid of the Doom and the Tusk. Team Dog now, their last pickup. It's hard to really know what they need to pick up here. I mean, the Lesh is very flexible. You'd imagine it should be in the mid lane, but you just never know. It does seem like they need a pos 5 or a pos 4 here for Team Dog, but it is very open right now, so it's really up to them how they feel about running the mid Lesh in this matchup, if that's what they do want to do. Otherwise, of course, Arbit can just take something else for himself, and it looks like he may. It's either going to be a pos 4 Leshrac or a pos 4 Void Spirit now coming up for Team Dog. I'd say it's still very open between the two.
Yeah, it's you've got flexibility there. When you look at it for pos 4, we've seen Paulson previously play Void Spirit 4 some time back in T1 when you used to see T1. So options are open for Team Dog to kind of close it out. Maybe keeping it too flexible. They do have some sweet power spikes coming through, but when you look at overall team fight, Vac Wall plus ET Stomp or Lesh might not hold the same kind of effect as a Tide Hunter with Blink. So once Masteros is ready to fight, I think Fnatic's always going to have that ace up their sleeve where they can dictate how these engagements go first if Masteros can find that position. And to be fair to Masteros, he does tend to do that once he has his items. I think key for Team Dog is to hold up against the push Fnatic's going to look to bring out. They've got to really think hard about their last pick here. We're probably looking for a Moon hero. Could be just opting for under Spirit Brother, Ember Spirit still in the pool if they want that. You do take it. So Ember Spirit up against potentially Void or Lesh.
Okay.
Not too bad for the Ember either way. And this is a rather interesting back and forth draft, but I would give Fnatic a slight edge here just because it's a Drow draft. It's easier to pull off and you've got Masteros Tide.
I do agree with that. Like, I looked at the Void Spirit and I thought, well, there's your gap close, right? For the Drow Ranger, you've got someone who can just get in the back lines and kind of deal with her in the middle of these team fights, but it's kind of easier said than done, and we are still yet to see what position they're going to play this Void Spirit in. Is it going to be the Arbit hero, or are they throwing it as the pos 4 Void Spirit? Yes, they are. Polison's going to take it. So Arbit will take the mid Leshrac, and that does make me feel like Fnatic does overall has maybe not the better draft, but like you said, the easier to execute draft. And generally speaking, when it's easier to execute, it probably is a pretty good thing here for the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, there's less room for errors here. Fairly straightforward in terms of their timings, and they've got pretty decent farm distribution that you can get out with a Drow and Ember. I think Team Dog, with his Pawns for Void Spirit, you do have to play pretty fast, right? You need to hit your timings in the Void Spirit, looking at either a fast Eul's or an Urn if you want it, and kind of start dictating the game by the time you hit that level 6 in the Void. Very important for Pause 4 Void to really hit that spike fast. Team Dog do have some leeway to scale late. We talked about the Darkseer probably needing Mech into Guardian Greaves and Blink. We'll see if Ice wants to play that slower pace and just farm up, kind of split that up with In Your Dream. But it's one of the issues with the Darkseer, which is why you don't see too much. Its pacing is just not the fastest, and it can get left behind if it does start to fall behind.
No, I do agree with you on that. And speaking of falling behind, the Slark is also one of those heroes, right? Where if you don't get that start going, it does kind of feel like the hero just never takes off. And I do feel like Team Dog are going to have to be very wary of that, or at least in your dream, it does have to be very aware that this Slark is a bit more of a momentum-based hero. Of course, In Your Dream's a very good player, though. I'm sure he knows this very well. And let's see how it all pans out, as we do get an immediate pause, John, which is... it's something I missed in EU, John. These European teams, they just want to get the game over and done with. But, you and me, we like to appreciate the pause time.
Yeah, it gives me a chance to see as well what the hell Jabs is up to. He just typed in all chat, 3 1/3 still lose. What's he talking about? 3 1/3. I'm not sure what he's on about, but Jabs has some fighting words here.
Hey, Jabs just got to give it to him straight off the bat. I love to see it, John. It's not one of those things in SCA where they just kind of go at each other. And I also miss that. It's a bit too proper in EU for my style, John. I like it scrappy.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Of course, giving us a little bit of pause time also allows the players to get a groove in. You know, starting at 2 p.m. Merienda, the best time for Merienda is about an hour off. So this is time for them to go on their apps, order some takeaway, Mike, and get that food flowing. So it's ready by the time Game 2 rolls around. So, you know, teams are doing their duty, Mike.
Speaking of duties, John, I was reading the Twitch chat a few minutes ago. Apparently you didn't have Merienda today. What happened?
No. Well, you know, sometimes you have a really heavy lunch, so there's not quite enough room to plan for merienda. We did have some good stuff, and this is gonna sound like me shilling for something else. I did have certain fast food. I'll just say Jollibee, Chicken Joy, and their spaghetti. That is golden. Of course, you wash that down with a can of Monster, and it's even better, Mike.
It definitely is, and you know, John, at this stage, with the amount of times you've brought up Jollibee during our cast, I mean, they may as well sponsor us. It's I swear, every time we cast a tournament, at some stage, you're talking about Jollibee, and it's, you know,
you just gotta have it.
I mean, I've never had it before, John, but I do look forward to being able to have it, in the Philippines one day. You know, I want to,
absolutely.
I want to have it, you know, in SCA. I don't want to find it in Australia.
Well, to be fair, I think if you did find it in Sydney, you should take the chance. You know, it's a really darn good chicken. The spaghetti is gonna culture shock you. I think that's what always gets people. But if you're open-minded, Mike, well, it should be. It's an experience, is what I want to say.
Fair enough, John. Of course, Game 1 of today has started between Team Dog and Fnatic. Because Fnatic looking to probably be the slight favorites in this matchup, but that's only based off the current standings in these groups. I'd still say they have a very good chance of winning up against Fnatic, depending on how they do get this early game started, and that is probably going to be the most important time here for Team Dog, is the early game of this game number 1. So if it doesn't go well, I just feel like it's going to be very hard to keep up with this Drow Ember Tide, especially when you've got the Venge IO there as well. And John, I'm sure you've seen it, but the IO as of late has been extremely popular.
Oh yeah, it's really surged back in. A little bit of a struggle for these runes, though.
Yeah, Paulison just going to play around with jabs there. Masteros going to be around as well, and just a few love taps. They'll back off. No reason to stick around. As of now, however, Team Dog looks like they want to try and get this game started with an aggressive tri-lane. In Your Dream going to be up there with Arfu and Paulison. Paulson, he might go for a bit of a run back down to the bot lane, but no, it looks like he is going to stick around. Of course, with the off-lane Darkseer, you don't really need to help him out. He can just spam Iron Show and just push out the waves and get that solo XP himself. But do you feel confident about this trial lane?
Well, they've got to find this kill within the next minute or so. I'd say even 30 seconds. You talked about the weakness of the Tide. Level 1 to 2 is that point, along with the IO. They need to maximize that before any EXP starts flowing to this duo.
Well, for now, Paulson, he was just over pulling a creep wave, I believe. And yeah, there he is. Just pulling a creep wave over back behind his tier 1 tower. Gonna leave In Your Dream and Arfu just in the lane to try and abuse the side of Fnatic here up at this top lane. But I don't think they're really going to be able to do much. It's Masaros, if he really feels threatened, he can take the wave underneath the tier 1. For now, he's just going to hold it and try to keep the creep equilibrium going his way. I really don't think this bothers Masaros very much, especially considering Jabs is going to be able to heal him up with this IO.
Yeah, he's not going to have regen issues. He's already prepared for this as well with 2 Ring of Regen, so Masaros is just going to hold steady in that lane. We'll see if they do manage to pull out enough to really get something happening here. I think this is ample time to look at other lanes. You know, looking down mid, we've got Moon here with the Ember Spirit up against Abed on his Lesh, and we've seen the Lesh rack against Ember a couple of times. It is something that kind of goes around skill as well, though. Abed has gone for Split Earth and Diabolic Edict, so he is focusing more on wave clear, focusing on steady farm. If he does land a stun, that could be a bit deadly on Moon, but Moon should be able to sidestep around. He's got Slight Fist ready on hand as well, and level 2 shield, so it's going to be harder to just burn him out, but still got to be a bit cautious if you're Moon.
Well, he's got to be careful of that Edict. It is not magic damage, it is physical, John, and Moon is suffering quite a bit. He might go down. He tries to dodge out to the stun, still does actually sidestep it. Abed looking for 2 more hits perhaps, but no. Moon, he does have the bottle up. He'll be just fine. He also had a Fairy Fire and a Tango available in case he needed it. Abed, of course, with that Edict, can be very aggressive if Moon is not careful.
Oh yeah, it's pretty decent timing for Mundo to have this really early bottle, so he's gonna get some regen up. He's firing out a couple more salves as well, just to sustain that lane. And of course, this does mean Moon will want to fight over his 4-minute power runes. Abed is pretty close to his bottle as well, though, and he is a little bit more topped up.
Top lane
can have to maintain.
Jabs is going to be the first blood here. Arfu able to pick it up, and that should give. In fact, In Your Dream didn't actually get the permanent agi, unfortunately for him. So he won't really get too much on the Slark for that, but Arfu definitely going to be very happy about getting that first blood gold on this Elder Titan. Of course, Masaros is still fairly unaffected, but Jabs does have to be very wary of getting pounced on. So he does tend to drop pretty quick if he does.
Yeah, it's a really squishy IO hand. You have to remember that once you get some damage up on Arfu with that Astral Spirit, it doesn't take him too long to really twack away. Even Masaros is not as tanky as he'd expect to be, especially if he misses his Anchor Smash. So gotta watch that back and forth. Still a steady top lane right now. Last hits are looking even, although the stop does come out.
Masaros. Oh, he's in a lot of trouble here. Essence Shift stacks are out. Masaros tries to go for the Anchor Smash, but will go down again. And I've got to give props to the side of Team Dog on this top lane, John. They are doing a great job thus far. We talked about the timing of the Slark. Level 2, level 3, you are feeling very strong up against this Tide. In Your Dream, he's timed it perfectly.
Oh yeah, he's definitely on a really good start. He's got his Magic Wand ready as well with some great amount of charges up. So he's got Burst Heal in case Fnatic decides to play aggressive. And the Slark already off to a fantastic start. Number 1 in last hits, couple of kills in the assist belt.
Bot lane.
In Your Dreams reset up.
The one lane we haven't talked about quite yet, John. Raven and DJ on that Drow and Venge up against Ice just by himself on the Darkseer. They do manage to get a kill onto that Darkseer eventually. Raven, of course, going to be very happy with that one as he was the one to pick up the kill on the Drow. He'll be able to just keep his free farm up on this Drow Ranger. I guess it's not quite as bad as how the top lane is going for Fnatic right now. But then again, it is still a Drow. She's going to be very happy with that bonus gold. And you even look at Raven's items. He's already got the boots as well as the double Wraith bands up. He's very happy right now.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of opportunities here to keep the stacks up. DJ just building up in that triangle. There are some really good early wards here, though, from the side of Team Dog, so they are aware of the build-up, and they should be able to contest down the line. Paulson's the one here that you don't really see too much, although he's going down mid.
Jabs? Arfu trying to go after him, but now they're going to turn back around with Masaros and Jabs, and Arfu going to salve up to be able to survive. I thought Jabs was just definitely dead there. He ran back in after Arfu and got stomped and was one hit away from dying, but does manage to barely get away with his life intact.
Yeah, and I believe that's all bounty runes as well, heading the side of Team Dog. So they get a good amount of gold injected, along with just kind of surviving and forcing out some trades. And overall, they're happy campers here on the Radiant side. 2-1, 1k lead. First set of bounties going their way, and solid farm up. There is some catch-up here from Raven, as you mentioned, on the Drow, on bot, but I think you are having a pretty good time with Ice's farm up. He's definitely having a better time than Masaros, which means that your Darkseer's timings are going to be a bit faster, and of course the Darkseer can just dip into the jungle as well to build up that farm.
Absolutely, and actually mid lane, there's a bit of a group up here. 3 Radiant heroes in that mid lane, but Moon, he's going to run to the other side of the river and pull the creep wave away and just try to get some really efficient farming going on with this Flame Guard. Paulson, he's going to try and interrupt. I don't think he can really do too much here. Moon will practically get all that farm on the Ember. So Paulson, while he did try, Moon going to be very happy with that. Only problem being, though, that while he was doing that, Arbed was able to take the tier 1 tower. And that is a pretty big deal for the side of Team Dog.
And that's what we were looking for here from Abed. He makes a good rotation out to this triangle, and yeah, that's just so much farm they've got to contest.
Yeah, that's a lot of farm to take. Moon, he's going to come in with Jabs and DJ. They stun him up. Abed, he has gone too far. But on the brighter side, he did steal away all those creeps before he did go down. So you did get the gold for yourself on the Leshrac, and you did deny it away from Raven, but it did cost him his life. So it is a bit like, was it really worth it?
Oh, bot lane.
Bot lane, Ice and Paulson run after DJ, but Jabs is there with the block, and now Raven just man-fighting, does take him out. Paulson a bit overly confident, and now Ice trying to fight back, but he cannot. In fact, he was just trying to run away. Props to Raven. He understood his strengths on the Drow Ranger and just fought back. He was not afraid of the double iron shells.
You've got to watch yourself when you do commit on the Drow. Like, as long as the IO's around, again, this combination is just so strong, and machine gunning heroes down. Raven showing great restraint there, and of course Jabs just there to back up is right. Now, that was pretty early of a use of the wall coming out from Ice. You don't tend to see that from Darkseers, but you can see the emphasis on Team Dog to get this early game rolling. They have fallen a bit behind. We're still sub 10 minutes in, but it's 2-4 now, and they need to keep that momentum going here for Dog if they don't want to start lagging here.
I do agree. Moon still kind of being hunted here in this mid lane, but he does manage to walk away once again, and he just pulls the creep wave, gets back to farming. Just fine. Paulson keeping tabs on this Ember and just soaking a bit of XP off him. Ultimately, Paulson is not going to be able to do too much to stop him from this. Meanwhile, Raven, that dire triangle, John, he's started to farm up those ancient stacks, and that's going to help him escalate quite a lot. He doesn't really take them as fast as you'd like to see, but it is a Drow Ranger after all. All he can really do is use the split shot and just keep hitting away. Arbed. Top lane, Arbed. He got very low. He might die to that tier 2 tower. He's trying to heal up, but he does end up going down. At the very least, he does kill off Masaros first.
I'd say that's worthwhile. It drags some heroes up top as well. So DJ shows himself up top. He's still fairly safe in your dream. You've got your ult, and they get to invade this upper jungle. So they're keeping these camps in check, denying more area farm from Fnatic, and they might look to keep playing aggressive here, just keeping that pressure and punishing Fnatic while they're playing this farming game.
Oh, in your dream, nice pounce out. He has caught out DJ, and DJ's definitely going to go down. In your dream, he's been performing very nicely thus far, and I did say this earlier on, John, but so far he's been involved in every single kill of his team. He's got 1 kill, 3 assists on this Slark, and he's going to be pretty happy with that, with 3 permanent agility as well. Bot lane,
That's
yeah, Paulison ends up getting caught out in this Void Spirit again. Raven was there with Masaros and pretty much the rest, and they do get the kill.
And this is going to be a hurting point for Team Dog. We talked about the Void Spirit falling behind. Paulson's just about hit 5, maybe edging on 6 once he pops the Tome. But this has been a really slow start for our Void Spirit. The Yules is going to be quite a fair bit until it's done as well. The one thing is, again, Team Dog's getting a good push out, although they're trying to stall out this bot push. Wall's been committed, but that's not going to stop Raven in his range.
No, it really isn't, especially while DJ's around on that Vengeful Spirit. And Raven, he can just tank the tower like this. He does not care as long as Jabs is around on that IO. Of course, while that's happening, however, Abed is taking a tier 2 tower. So, it's not really worth to get these trades here for Fnatic in terms of towers. And Abed, understanding this, will continue applying this pressure on the Leshrac. I'd say Fnatic should be kind of worried about how many towers they have lost thus far.
Yeah, they've not really traded well so far. They've only got that tier 1 bot. The mid-tier 2 of Team Dog still stands, and that's going to be a major point of contention here. They've still gotten complete control on the top jungle for the side of Team Dog, so the farming areas for Fnatic have really shrunk. They are hitting some good farming spikes on Raven. Masaros is sort of keeping up with Ice, which is not really where you want the tide to be. Gonna have to see the build-up for Fnatic to start to kick in, but Team Dog, again, they're playing this early game perfectly, and this is what we wanted from the draft. They just need to start looking at the last pieces of the map, really start locking in, maybe wait for that one major item on In Your Dream. He did opt for the Midas build in the Slark, and he is going to rush into that Echo Saber right after.
A Midas build up on the Slark, John. How do you feel about that? Is that the right decision?
I'd say it's a confident pickup, right? In Your Dream sees that they're kind of winning. He wants to keep that snowball going. The Midas does allow him to get a lot more EXP up. I don't think it's too bad, but it could bite them in the bum. Like the moment In Your Dream drops, like the moment he gets one death, I think that's when you start to question the Midas. And when he dies twice in a row, if that does happen, then the Midas is not going to do much. So In Your Dream has to ensure that the momentum stays up, and he's got to be very careful with his positioning. But fortunately for him, he's fine.
He's been caught out, the Radiant jungle. He really has no way out of this as the gust does come out from Raven. Great smoke out from the side of Fnatic, and you were kind of talking about how well Ice was farming in comparison to Masaros. He does go down now. Still, a counter smoke now is out from the side of Team Dog. They're going to loop right behind, and they will run straight into the other offlaner. Masaros cannot survive this much damage. He will go down as well. So 1 for 1 on both off lanes, and I'd say that's a rather even trade. There wasn't really too much different about them.
They waste the same amount of resources, smoke for smoke. I am looking at the build-up in these offlaners, though. I have to say, Masaros' build-up, it's another strange one. This is something he does with his Tide every single time. We've seen him go Desolator Tide early on. We've seen him go for the standard mech. We've seen him do Blink Rush. This time, it's Force Staff into Blade Mail Blink. So,
wow.
Again, something very different for the Tide. I don't know about the Blade Mail. I can see the Force Staff being somewhat useful here, but the Blade Mail strikes me as slightly odd. It's one way to punish Abed, because he can't flick off his spells. At least he can't flick off Diabolic Edict every single time. But it's also strange. Like, you might maybe opt for an AoE item first. We'll see if this does pan out for Masaros once these items fly in.
I mean, I guess it also helps up against the Iron Shots of Ice. Though that isn't going to be quite as good as against the Edict, but maybe even In Your Dream Slark could cause a few issues without that Blade Mail up, though. Mern was just playing around a bit with the Slark, and it's just going to back off. So a 5-7 so far. We're 14 minutes in. In fact, I said he was playing with the Slark, but it was Ice on the Darks here is what I meant. Everyone seems to be very comfortable just chilling out and farming for now. But if there's one person that really enjoys farming, it is going to be someone like Raven, who is known to farm at a very, very quick pace. He's currently top of the net worth board on this Drow Ranger. I do think this is something you are going to be somewhat worried about if you are Team Dog. Sure, you found heaps of objectives early on, but it is still a Drow Venge you're up against. It's going to be very scary later on if this Drow is able to keep up the farm the way she is.
Yeah, and they've basically left Raven pretty much uncontested, besides those true early rotations.
He's in the triangle, but he is able to remnant out of there. Just go straight back towards the north, but you were saying, John.
It's they've really just not punished Raven. You're finding some good pacing here on In Your Dream as well. Echo Saber's up. He is rushing his BKB, so we're not seeing anything like the Silver Edge rush. We're not seeing anything to help him with mobility or stats. Just wants to stand and fight. Once you have this BKB, of course, you take out the Ravage as the big control option and the Chain. So you lose out on the utility that Moon and Masaros bring out, and that's something Fnatic will have to be cautious about. As Moon,
he's getting caught out here, but nice sleight of fist dodge out from Moon. Still, does he have any remnants? He does, but he will eventually use them. He was just waiting till the latter stages of his HP bar going down, and as I say that, Paulison was still on the chase there for Moon, but he does manage to walk away. He's just fine. Meanwhile, the mid lane, Fu gonna run into jabs, but he does have the Glimmer Cape. They also found In Your Dream on the Slark, but he's gonna turn back around onto Masaros. Ross has to be a bit careful here. He does have the Echo Saber up now on that Slark, so he's able to get a lot more damage out. In fact, he does go onto DJ instead, and DJ is going to go down. He could not TP out in time.
It's a decent pickup In Your Dream again. Happy with getting another stack of Agi up, so it's going to be perfectly fine. 4 stacks isn't the biggest, but it has been a relatively slow game. 6-7, 2K lead on Team Dog's side. They are rotating again up top.
They are. Well, nice remnant out with the Split Earth, and this time around Moon cannot escape his own death. Still a TP in from the IO. They do relocate. Raven, he'll go after the Void Spirit rather than trying for the left tracks. He did TP out on a nice multi-shot. He's going to be there from Raven. Back into the mid lane. They didn't quite get the target they wanted in Arbet, but they still got something very nice for themselves, and they are going to move into that mid-tier 1 tower now. Vacuum was there from Ice with the Split Earth out, but they do miss. They are kind of reliant on hitting that Vacuum first if they do want that combination. Ice, he doesn't really have any mobility items apart from that inbuilt surge he does have. Just could not land it though.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but that is enough to stop Fnatic's push. So Fnatic are still sort of clumped up. They've still got Ravage ready to go for Masaros, which we haven't seen popped in a long time. We'll see if they do want to start fighting around it. There is still that lead on Team Dog's side, but they do have map control. So it's a weird situation where there's a slight net worth lead here for Team Dog, and Fnatic are just, they're not out of it yet, of course. They've still got power under Drow, but they haven't really gotten an equality in map control, which is really where they're falling behind. You can see, again, Team Dog just invading that top jungle. They've got good control in their own bot jungle, and they're just not scared. They're just farming up fairly well. Their farm distribution's a bit tighter between In Your Dream and Abed, and Abed's just doing fantastic work keeping that top lane constantly shoved in.
I think both teams are doing quite well in this game so far. I mean, my concern is still Raven on that Drow. For the sake of Team Dog and what Raven is doing right now. He is almost at that BKB now, John. Just about 300 gold off, and that is going to cause some problems here for the side of Team Dog, as you are going to lose a lot of your damage once that BKB is up. You pretty much will be solely relying on In Your Dream to get the jump onto this Drow Ranger. But it's not really going to be enough while Jabs is there on the IO healing her up at the same time. You start to wonder, Team Dog, have they not necessarily waited too long, but they haven't really done too much up against Raven, still mid lane. They do jump into Masaros, but now Moon with a nice double chains out. They do have the Ravage. Masaros, not going to throw it out quite yet. He is a very patient man. Moon's going to jump in with a Remnant, but is not going to commit all the way. Now the chains around, still onto In Your Dream, but Arbed is threatening with a stun. He won't get it out yet, still Vacuum, or rather Wall, has been dropped from Ice, but he just melts so darn quick to Raven. Now they're onto Fu. He'll Glimmer Cape, but they have the dust there with the multi-shot out, and Fu should eventually go down, and does to Raven on the Drow Ranger. A double kill out for our Drow. And it looks like they want the Roshan play.
This is going to be a really quick rush for them to take. They don't have to worry about that wall. There is still the ET ult if he does respawn in time, but this is going to be very quick. You've got a lot of damage coming through, minus armor from the Venge, and they've even got a casual medallion just to really make this rush from ult. I have to say I'm surprised with how cautious Masaros is with a Ravage pick. They've won all of these fights without popping a big Ravage, and that's just something to worry about for Team Dog. Like, you're going in, you're popping wall, you're not finding these kills, and they can keep fighting because Ravage is constantly up.
Afu, he's shown that mid lane, John. Moon is going to catch him out with the chains there, and Raven easily going to be able to just take him out as Jabs. We'll start with the voice lines now. I think Fnatic, they realize how powerful they are in this this current position. As well as that, John, I just don't think they're getting any weaker with this draft. I can't see them getting any weaker.
No, they're really not. They've got a lot of room to scale. Moon is just about to finish his own BKB. So this Ember Spirit, who's done a lot of work, like Moon is just standing in front, constantly playing poke. He's forcing these responses out from Team Dog, and Team Dog have to think twice. Like, they've been trying so hard in the Ember, they've missed a couple of times every time they go in. It's just so hard to catch him out without any hard stuns. And their setup is like a U-ult. A U-ults are a stomp and a sleep if they can catch it, or to vac into stun, which is also hard. So I think Team Dog has to change their sights, look for the backline if they can. This is where the Midas into BKB, with the Echo Saber starting to hurt in your dream. He has no easy way to get into these fights. So there's no way to find the drow in the backline. Paulson's a bit too low. So they're just kind of forced to catch whoever comes up, and that's almost always going to be Moon.
Paulson, he almost got caught out there by the gust. Raven, unable to connect it. Still, in the meantime, Abed has farmed up that Aghanim Scepter now. I believe In Your Dream also has a BKB up now. So the farm is slowly escalating for Team Dog. As Masaros pump fakes the Ravage, I just realized he still hasn't Ravaged once this game, which is, you know, classic Masaros. Just holding on to the exact right moment. We are 22 minutes in without one Ravage being thrown out. He just hasn't needed it. In we go, Fnatic. They've smoked up, they found Arfu and DJ. He'll get 4-star forward with a nice dust out and a stun, and that's going to be Arfu going down. They just continue farming. There's not really much else to do here for Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, they've got control on that bot jungle. They're holding on to it. You can see Team Dog still playing in that top jungle, getting that farm split up. They are slightly ahead here in Team Dog, but not by much anymore. It's just a 1k lead, not too meaningful at 22 minutes in. Even Dota Plus does give Team Dog a slight edge, but it has kind of flatlined. Like, it was a little bit higher earlier, Mike, and, well, they haven't really accomplished much, and they're allowing Fnatic to find these objectives.
Yeah, I do believe Dota Plus was giving them that advantage based off the objectives they had taken earlier on. It's not like they're out of the game by any stretch. I mean, the net worth is still slightly in their favor. We just haven't seen much out of them for a while now. They are playing a very patient game, Team Dog. Just waiting for their right moment. I'm looking at it In Your Dream on the Slark. He hasn't queued anything else up yet after that BKB, so I'm very curious as to what it's going to be. And it is going to be the Eye of Skadi. He does just queue it up now. So, I have Skadi coming out soon. Top lane, they found out Moon, but they do not have the control for him. In fact, Relocate was there with Raven and Jabs, and Raven will help Moon get another kill, this time onto Paulson. Paulson, the Void Spirit, having a very tough game so far. Just dying 4 times with 0 kills. He's not having a great time at all, and now they even chase down Arfu. He has been dusted up, Raven trying to get in distance to try and get some frost arrows off, but he cannot in the end. It won't matter though, he just groups up with his team again. They know they can still 5v5 because they do still have the Ravage up, and they do go into the tier 2 mid tower.
I mean, we're acting like Ravage has ever gone on cooldown, Mike. It's never been popped, right? Like, it's 24 minutes now, it's still not single Ravage. Who needs it? Look, a free tier 2 without Ravage. Big victory for Fnatic. Who needs to press R?
Well, in some way, you can kind of realize how kind of genius it is, right? Because Team Dog don't want to fight into the team 5v5 because they know it's up. The problem is, it's just never down. Like, it's at some stage, if you're Team Dog, you are going to have to go for a 5v5. and it's going to almost guarantee to be available because he's just not using it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you know, we were talking about his build-up. He doesn't even go for the Blade Mail because he realizes he's barely fighting with Fnatic. You know, he's not even out there. Again, it's Moon throwing his body in front, and the fact that Masaros went for this Blink Force Staff, just full mobility, and is not using it in any meaningful way, that just spells trouble here for Team Dog. And look, it's that great high ground push for the Drow. Like, look at that range. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah, the classic balanced Drow Venge combination. You love to see it. Surprisingly, John, Raven did not find a Grove Bow, which is, I can't believe my eyes, John. I feel like every time we watch a Drow, they have a Grove Bow, but now Vacuum, and Split Earth all connecting with DJ. A nice swap out and a relocate away from Jabs to make sure DJ also survives. It's going to be very hard time catching out Raven as they have so many ways of saving it. Maybe now they can get it done. Jabs, the one in trouble, but another nice swap out from DJ. Moon jumps in. Now the Ravage being committed, connecting on two heroes. They found one in Your Dream, and Ice, he's in big trouble. He's trying to make a run, but Raven just getting the damage out. He cannot run away from this. He will go down into the tier 3 tower. Abed, he's trying to force them back. Maybe they get Moon, and they do. The Ember does go down, but Raven, he's not done. He'll keep fighting into Arfu now. That silence, it just lasts forever, but Masaros, he goes a bit too far. He will end up dying. Paulison, able to set up for that one. Abed back in now. After Jabs, he gets another. In fact, he found two more. A triple kill for Abed. Now Raven getting caught out by the Aether Remnant. Raven trying to run Abed. He's just waiting for the right time. He connects the Split Earth. He's out of mana now. Raven, he takes down one. He's going to have to try and man fight this out. Paulison needs to try and run with it, assimilate. Looks like he will be alright. Abed, he's going for a chase, but he just doesn't have the mana pool to keep going. But they do successfully defend, and in terms of team fight, John, it's a 3-for-4 trade, so you'd argue that Team Dog did win out on that side of things.
Definitely. Like, they finally force out the Ravage, they get a lot of kills on Abed in the end, and they're pretty darn happy. I think Fnatic's decision to bypass anything like a pipe is definitely hurting them here. The early BKBs can only do so much once they're on cooldown. I mean, Abed just saw that opportunity after waiting for those BKBs to fade out. After the Ravage came out, just came in. The Ags is just doing so much work for him while he has his ult up, and his damage is just relevant. I think Fnatic needs to consider maybe some Glimmer Capes coming through of their own, maybe finishing up this pipe on Masaros next just to mitigate Abed's damage output, because he is the star of the show right now.
Oh, Moon, he could be in trouble here. Paulison, great Yule's out with the Aether Remnant. Gonna lock him down, and Abed does have the stun, and Moon will go down again. It's at that point you can't really underestimate the catch that Paulison and Abed do have together. And we'll have to be a little bit more cautious about those kind of pushes. He's definitely trying to do the right thing there by pushing out that bot lane, but well, you can say the same for Arfu now. Getting caught out by Raven, and Raven is 10-0-5 on this Drow Ranger. Having the easiest game of his life so far. And, even though the net worth lead is the way of Team Dog, they're not the ones that are really being too aggressive here unless they find an easy pick, like the one we saw down at that bot lane just a moment ago.
Yeah, they're being a little bit more cautious. They're still waiting for this major item in Your Dream. Again, he's kind of lagged behind after the BKB. It's not like he's falling too far behind, but it's just Raven's doing a lot better in efficiency. So they're waiting out the Scotty on the Slark first before going through. I think they understand that Abed's position is very, it's a tight war. Like, the moment Abed drops, that's going to cost a lot of gold to slide away. It could be enough to start seeing the Leshrac fall behind with a couple of major item pickups. So he's being a little bit more cautious, just playing that wave-shoving gameplay. And again, it's down to something we talked about earlier.
Your Dream.
They don't want to force it.
Jumps into Moon. Moon is still playing around with him here. Wants to keep fighting. In Your Dream, not afraid. Shadow Dance will come out. Paulison, he never really went in for the Yules into the Aether Remnant. He didn't really have much else to go after that. I suppose the BKB was there anyway. Still, Fnatic looking at that Roshan. Won't go for it yet. They'll check the triangle. Raven having his own Eye of Skadi now on that Drow. Go after the, just the ancient stacks. Just taking whatever they can for the moment, just preoccupying the triangle. Same can be said for the side of Team Dog, though. They're doing the exact same thing. Arbed looking at Masaros in the mid lane with a nice fact. Split Earth, however, will not land. The Force Staff was there in time, and it's like Jabs, he was preemptively going for the relocate. Does end up using it for nothing, but they will still just go for a straight quick Roshan, and it looks like they are going to be able to get away with it in time.
Yeah, this is going to be the second Roche, so Aegis Cheese now coming in and roll.
Yeah, Yules is out with the Aether Remnant onto Moon, but now Ice has been caught on that Darks here. He'll surge away, but Moon is on the chase. Earth Splitter is going to be nice from Arfu. Moon still chasing, but the Gust doesn't connect, and now a big back wall coming out onto 4 heroes, but where is your follow-up? They do get one in the form of DJ. Jabs also falling low now on the IO, trying to run away, but these illusions, they're doing a lot of damage to him. Ooh. A great stomp out, connecting on 3 as well as Arbed. Trying to move in, but Moon is holding them back on the Ember. They catch out Raven now, but he's willing to just fight back. He'll go after Arfu, who's just trying to run, but he is underneath the Sentry Ward, so the Glimmer Cape will do nothing. Fnatic, it was a bit of a topsy-turvy kind of team fight, but it is going to be a 1-for-1 in the end. They do start moving into that mid lane once again.
And the big advantage here for Fnatic is they hold on to the Ravage. So we saw wall drop, we saw Vac wall combination out. Masaru still has a Ravage to play with if they want to force the high ground. And that's going to be something that's on the back of Team Dog's mind as they play this defense game.
Oh, Moon gets a BKB off in time. He almost got stuck down by that Remnant. Trying to get those waves pushed out once again. Does throw out a quick Remnant there, just by Polison. Just a cheeky one from Moon. Very unnecessary from our Ember Spirit, but yeah, sometimes you've got to, you know, just be a bit of a BM play, I suppose I'd call it.
Yeah, just styling, just being efficient. He wanted those creeps first, cleared them out, so you know, he gets the full amount of farm. They're slowly chipping away here, Fnatic. While they know those heroes are stuck bot, they're clearing out that top tier 2 last outer tower here of Team Dog. We've got to be a bit cautious as the map really starts to shrink down here. They've lost that lead. It's down to 1k, 13 to 18. Again, Ravage is still in the pool, and you still have the cheese to play with. You've still got a lot of HP. I did just realize Jabs has the Aegis. I don't know if that was on purpose, if they were rushing to pick up, but I think he wanted cheese instead. You make do with what you have, I suppose.
It's alright. Jabs is an important part of the team, John. He deserves the Aegis. Aether Remnant going to come out onto Raven. I mean, on the brighter side, you know, if he dies once, at least Raven doesn't really need it, right? He's got DJ, he's got Jabs there. He doesn't need an Aegis. He's been saved plenty of times. Tier 3 tower. Repair kit, of course, going to be found by Team Dog. Raven does not really give two craps. He's just going to keep hitting away. It's going to be a little bit harder, though, with that repair kit around. Looks like they are eventually just going to back off.
Yeah, just a safe play here from Fnatic. Understanding that, well, repair kit makes it super hard. There is a smoke here from Team Dog. Can they find an opening here?
Definitely feel like they need one right now. Moon would be a nice one. He does still have the BKB available, though, as well as a haste room. But Polison going to jump in and does connect the Aether Remnant. They got the silence. They got the split open. Masaros is there with the Ravage now. It will not be enough to save his own life, but Moon is still just trying to run away here. Sleight of Fist, Remnant out. Raven in the middle of all this, trying to fight back. He is trying, but he's been swapped out by DJ. Relocate will be there by Jabs, and it looks like Team Dog do successfully win out this team fight. Moon does also manage to run away, but they are going to lose DJ. They do lose Masaros. That'll give a bit of an opening now to Team Dog, especially considering they know the Ravage is down.
Yeah, that's a massive opening here for Team Dog. They can look for this last tier 2 now. I think it was a bit of a mistake. Like, Moon was playing on the edge again. The fact that he missed his BKB forced Masaros to jump in, and he had to pop the Ravage. So there was enough time there for Team Dog to pop their own BKBs, make sure the Ravage didn't pay off. And Fnatic, well, they're just kind of stuck in this awkward spot. They lose the lead once more. Their Aegis is good for about 40 seconds, 48 seconds, so not too much time left on that second life on Jabs. They might want to just wait for the next Roche. So we're talking about maybe 7 more minutes, 8 more minutes more to wait, and just kind of reset. Go for the Roche with the Aegis cheese plus an item and see how that takes you, because I think right now Aegis on Jabs just doesn't give them opportunities to play as risky, but looks like they're not too scared as they do walk towards the triangle.
Oh, they've smoked up here. Side of Team Dog, they want to try and sneak and loop around on the side of Fnatic. Bit of a pincer move here. Relocate is going to be out from Jabs. Raven, he'll get started onto Arbed. Yule's up. Paulson jumps in your dream, meanwhile, straight onto that IO. They do get the one life, but he will respawn. Meanwhile, Raven, he got Arbed on that left track. DJ going to swap him out. Masros also there with the 4-staff now. Ice, trying to chase down the Drow, but Raven eats the cheese. He will continue surviving. Gets a gust out as well. They are just making sure that nobody can touch Raven's Masros. He is going to go down, and so will Jabs. And Ice, he'll keep up the chase. Onto Moon now, but he does have a remnant out. You still lose 3 on the side of Fnatic. Team Dog, of course, they did have the buyback there on Arbed, so it does cost them something, but it was definitely well worth it for Team Dog.
Oh, for sure. They get the lead back on their side, 4K now to their advantage. They managed to punish Masteros again. Fnatic were forced to take a fight while Ravage is down. By the time our Tide respawns, though, he will have Ravage up. They can easily buy back if they wanted to. This high ground is pretty terrifying. Like, if Abed makes his way down mid, these towers will not hold for too long.
No, they will not. Moon, he's trying to hold them back with those sleight of fist spams. In your dream, just going to pounce out of there and just be fine, but a double chains is there from Moon. I don't really believe they can try to capitalize off these chains right now. They are going to just back off, back into their base. Just accept the fact that they did protect the high ground. But he was really nowhere to be seen there. It's like he was just focusing in on trying to get some farm up. Starting to understand he will need that BKB up now on the left track to feel really safe in these team fights. Looks like he probably isn't going to intend to fight any further until that BKB is up and ready.
Yeah, it's going to be steady build up for him. Now, Fnatic does have a window here. Oh, yeah, of course. You get the perfect item up as well.
Yeah, Timeless Relic. He does keep the Spider Legs. So looking to give that over to someone else. Fnatic, meanwhile, smoked up into the Radiant Triangle they go. They aren't going to find anyone. Arfu was around just a few seconds ago, but he did make the run away. They are going to miss out. They should know they are smoked up now. Looks like Fnatic, they will give up on that smoke attempt. They'll just get back to farming those tier 4 items themselves. Now Refresh Orb is up on Ice, John. So you've got the double vacuum wall, and as well as that, he did find a Spell Prison. So all cooldowns are much lower now. And this could be a very, very scary timing if you are on the side of Fnatic.
Oh, it definitely is. I think this is the reason why you see Darkseer get adjustments towards vacuum. The decimal points really help out here. It's going to be really big the moment he gets a double wall, double vac. And they do smoke up. They want to play with a Siphon Spike.
Yeah, they definitely do. Like in your dream, going to start scouting out here. Wave will do it for them. Paulson going to jump in first, but misses the Remnant. Still just moves in with that Aghanim Scepter, silencing everyone up. And Masseros is dropping low. They'll heal him up, but no, he does go down. And now in your dream, onto Raven. They swap him out, but Arbed has the control. Ooh. They take down the supports, and Raven looks like he might just take his death, and he will. They finally end up getting that pesky Drow Ranger. The only person to get away with his life intact is going to be Moon on the Ember. But that is a 4-for-0 trade for Team Dog, and they have a huge net worth lead now. 11k going the way of the Radiant.
And this is where Team Dog's lineup really starts to shine. They've got so much going with him with the Darkseer. A late game wall just does so much work, and Ice has managed to maximize his refresh reveal there. They're going to go straight for the objectives, and again, you've got Abed around, Diabolic Edict up, level 26, 25 talents in play, although he didn't go for the Edicts. These objectives will not hold for long.
I mean, Raven doesn't have buyback. So for the next 40 seconds, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place if you're Fnatic. Like, how do you defend these barracks without your Drow Ranger? It seems as though Team Dog are somewhat aware of this, as the buyback just has not come out. Will they go for a secondary? It looks like they will not. They will pay respect to the side of Fnatic. They will back off, but luckily for them, John, there is a third Roshan, and that does have an Aghanims upgrade on it.
That's going to be really big. I wonder who they actually give the upgrade to. Maybe free up a slot in Abed, maybe hand it to Ice, perhaps even IYD, or I'm not sure. Maybe no. They all have their respective big ads, so let's see who that does go for. But the second life here, the cheese as well allows him a lot, and yeah, why not? Like everyone else has their big ones.
Is that still the parallel wars? No, it's the wall length. Okay.
Yeah, it's the wall length and the cooldown in Vax. So it's a 12-second cooldown plus a spell prism reduction. So you do the maths. That's pretty balanced. That's why he's constantly nerfed.
9.6 seconds for Vacuum now. Excellent. See how this one works out. Ice actually cancelling a TP off there. Very nice from him. You've got to love this if you're Ice because you're just not worried about throwing that Vacuum out casually anymore. It's just... It's a free time. It's an actual skill that you can use without having to wait 2 hours. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's outstanding that it's locked behind a neutral drop. Still, we're seeing some build up here as well on the side of Fnatic. They are 24k behind. They've lost a massive momentum swing their way. So you can see Raven is saving up for a Divine now. Just going for the Divine Drow. It is about that time in the game. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. We've seen Divines fall flat a couple of times, so Raven's got to really watch his spacing. His team has to play absolutely perfectly, and this is the point where the Drow Venge starts to become all about proper positioning and engagement, and it's a lot more forgiving for Team Dog to start these fights.
Forgot to mention, by the way, DJ did find a telescope, but Raven, he's been jumped right now. DJ cannot swap at the moment, so Jabs will get the relocate off. They will lose DJ. Jabs, they know he's going to come back sometime. So they'll probably find an IO for their trouble, and it looks like they will. A nice pounce out from In Your Dream. Both those heroes do have buybacks available, but Team Dog, they are going to try and force it right here and right now. There's your buyback from DJ as the Ravage does come out. Masaros connecting onto Abed, able to get away, but In Your Dream, not quite as lucky, but he is a tanky boy, and he does have that Aegis of the Immortal Factor. Vacuum Wall is there from Ice. He caught 3 of them onto the IO, onto DJ, onto Raven. They do take down all 3 as Masaros also goes down and Moon. He'll be the last one left, but they've called GG. A full team wipe out for Team Dog. And you know what, John? I said multiple times they would not be able to deal with Fnatic in the later stages of the game. Team Dog, they proved me completely wrong.
Yeah, they play it perfectly. They hunker down. They look for Fnatic to give them an opening. I hate kind of repeating myself, but it really feels like that the Aegis rush given to Jabs instead of a bigger core. I mean, you could kind of justify that by saying that Jabs might have been dying too fast. At the same time, it needed to be on their initiator. It needed to be on Moon or Masaros to have the Aegis. The cheese would have been really good in Jabs. I think that's what they were going for. And because they couldn't maximize that Roche, their high ground was just super awkward. They had to think twice about that. That was their big opportunity, and they lost the fight. It fell apart. And Team Dog, they had the resilience. They held on long enough. Paulson was really the one that bounced back there. You know, like we were talking about the Void Spirit support falling behind a bit too slowly. He managed to find his farm. He got his heals, and he could make the plays and start to punish Moon. And they just built off of that.
They certainly did. Of course, with that, John, that was Game 1. We do have Game 2 coming up in just about 10 minutes. It's MLP and johnxfire. We'll be back with you ASAP for that second game between Team Dog and Fnatic. See you soon.